Hello Warlords and Generals, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tabhammer and today we'll be continuing off with the Ogre lore and talking about the other half of the Mawtribes, specifically the monster mounted ogres of the BeastClaw Raiders. These ogres separate themselves from the Gutbusters in two ways. One, they field and mount themselves upon war beasts significantly more in numbers than the Gutbusters, riding the beasts into battle and using them as food when they cannot get any others as their rations. The second, and honestly more distinct, is the strange phenomenon and spiritual blizzard that chases the raiders and will freeze the ogres for centuries if it catches up to them. The origins of this storm, which is known as the Everwinter, are not entirely known. Some say it is a curse set upon them by Ogor Mawtribes for a previous blasphemy. Others state it is a blessing, claiming that the Everwinter pushes the ogres not only to become harder, stronger, and tougher, but also to drive them towards their next meal. Regardless of its origins, it is the single factor that makes the BeastClaw's Raiders culture significantly different from the Wargluts of the Gutbusters, which, the other difference, is that a Gutbuster Warglut may be led by a tyrant or an over-tyrant, and these Mawtribes of the BeastClaw Raiders are led by a Frost King instead, often primarily with conquered Wargluts within their ranks. The Gutbusters that are conquered adjust quickly and have to, for not only the harsh cold, but also the scornful attitude of the BeastClaw Raider themselves. Regardless of that, a Frost King sees their worth, especially the Slaughtermasters and the Butchers, who can cook and season the meat, a nice alternative to frozen meat and weeks-old rations. This rough lifestyle, as I mentioned previously, is due to the Everwinter, and it is completely responsible for it, constantly chasing the BeastClaw Raiders. Any it catches, it will freeze for centuries on end, leaving the ogres alive but in a frozen hell until some prey gets close enough for the ogre to break free and feast upon the unsuspecting victim. For while they are frozen, they still feel the hunger build, but they cannot themselves do anything about it. However, this strange and supernatural blizzard has changed recently. With the coming of the necroquake from Shayesh, the nature of the Everwinter has changed, becoming ever more erratic, freezing many of the Mawtribes' hunting grounds and causing the BeastClaw Raider Althratsuns to come into conflict with all manners of new prey, while current BeastClaw Raiders come into fighting more and more newer enemies. The winter has lifted in on older frozen Mawtribe gatherings, causing many to unfreeze and immediately set upon the closest prey and foes that they can find to feast upon. Even those Wargluts and Althratsuns who experience these clear skies as the Everwinter clears are warned by Huskards that this is temporary, for the hunger of Ogor Mawtribes is endless and eternal. And where Gutbusters organize themselves as Wargluts, BeastClaw Raiders organize themselves in what's known as Althratsuns, and the Frost King ruling over them. The Althratsuns have three branches that rule over them as subordinate chieftains. The first, and the most respected, are the Yorlbad, or Fighting Hand, as they are known to the tribe's greatest and most decorated amongst the BeastClaw Raiders, often getting the first claim to the cuts of meat after every raid. After them and underneath them are the Yorlbad, or the Eating Hand. Though less prestigious than the Yorlbad, it is no less as important. This hand is responsible for cutting down the last pockets of resistance in the wake of the vanguard forces, which Huskards leading which of the Yorlbad will eventually depend upon their accomplishment. Regardless of the responsibilities, the composition of each is usually the same, led by a Huskard on Stonehorn. After that are Stonehorn Beast Riders. Beneath them are the Mournfang packs led by the Skalds, a sort of sub-chieftain. The size, however, is based on wealth of each pack. The final arm is called the Torbad. Unlike the other two arms, the Huskard of the Tor keeps their position for life, as they are the spiritual figures of the Alfratsons. These shamans have a strange connection to the Everwinter. As such, they act as wise advisors and are irreplaceable to the Frostlord, as they advise being led by the Huskard on the top of a Thundertusk into battle, heralding the frozen powers of the Everwinter and redirecting that power towards the enemies of the Alfratson. The Torbads often attract the Yetis, which only adds to the savagery of the Torbad in combat. Technically, there is a fourth arm, but it is unaligned with any of the hands, for being formed of the Icebrow Hunters that act as scouting forces for the Frostlords. These are the Skull. Being expert hunters and trackers, they answer directly to the Frostlord, and are so good and trusted to find new hunting grounds, they are allowed to roam completely free of the Alfratson. An Alfratson is usually comprised of a Yorlbad, an Earlbad, a Torbad, and a Skull. But this is not always the case. Some clans favor use of one or two so heavily that they skip even using the other one. Now with kind of the basics of the BeastClaw Raiders covered, we're going to move on to the 3 specific named Mawtribes you can play with them in the game of Age of Sigmar. And we are going to start with the Boulderhead Mawtribe. The ogres of this Mawtribe are outcasts even amongst the other Mawtribes. Like an avalanche, they come barreling down, stampeding on mighty stone horns, crushing all in their paths and dragging survivors away for later meals. These ogres have a charred and blackened right fist, a badge of pride amongst this small tribe. Other Mawtribes look upon the Boulderhead as troublemakers. However, none would say it out loud, or they would incur the wrath of this devastating charge. The ogres of the small tribes call themselves the Svard, which means unbreakable ones in the language of the BeastClaw Raiders. On top of the fact that these ogres claim all other ogres are weak and soft, and only they are the true children of Gorka Morka. They engage in war with other of their kin, hoping that one day they have dominion over all ogre kind. The only thing stopping them is the other Mawtribes allying together, begrudgingly, but it is better than annihilation or servitude. Even among the BeastClaw Raider ogres, the Boulderhead are shockingly resilient, being able and known to stop a cannonball mid-flight with a headbutt. This is due to the fact that these ogres mimic the Stonehorn companions and eat a lot of metal and ores to strengthen their bones and thicken their skin. Due to all these factors and a lifetime of constant battle, have weaned the weakest from their ranks. This has led their ranks in lesser numbers than, say, the Blood Gullet or the Meat Fist. Their ranks are filled with exceptionally tough brutes instead. Believing themselves to be the toughest, they look upon Gutbusters with particular scorn, even more so than your average BeastClaw Raiders Mawtribe. But regardless of this, they have conquered other war gullets to swell their ranks. The other thing this tribe takes pride in is their breeding and raising only the most savage and bestial mounts. The Huskard Tors of this tribe are called Beastmasters. It is a sacred duty which they are responsible to select only the most fiercest of Stonehorns and Mournfangs, setting them upon captured enemies, monsters, and riderless ogre boulderheads, as gladiatorial battles are designed to weed out the weak. The ones that survive have the ritual of a Yorick Spore, which slices of blubber are carved from the rider and mount and shared with each other in a ritual of bonding. This manifests in battle as a terrifying result, allowing the mount to survive salvos of artillery and sorcerous explosions. Many armies think they're safe as they blast into charge of the Boulderhead line, only to their horror that the beasts are getting closer. Even as when broke, charred, and bleeding, the rider can pull one final rage-filled spark of motion out of the beast, causing the walls of the forts they are charging to crumble and the castle gates to crash, allowing the ogres access to the enemies within and assuring victory. And that was the BeastClaw Raider Mawtribe, the Boulderhead. Next, we're going to move on to the Thunderbellies. Having gained a great amount of infamy for being such a younger Mawtribe, the Thunderbellies thunder across Kamon's skyways in constant rampage. This due to the Everwinter, which is swifter and way more erratic than any other of the BeastClaw Raiders. This leads to the Thunderbellies to favor the swifter Mournfang mounts. As the Ulwer, I think that's how it's said, is what they're known as in their language, ride through the alchemic tempest, which they are mounts absorb, causing them to gain supernatural speeds as they charge forward. They will charge an unsuspecting line and retreat before they even hit the enemy again, and from a different flank, and crushing them utterly. As they have to stay ahead of the Everwinter in and of itself, and since there is even faster, this Mawtribe almost constantly on the move, eating as they ride, and even impaling enemies and hooking them to their saddles for food later. The Mournfangs of this tribe gain dark, crackling fur, causing them to blend into the clouds. As such, the Ogre Riders wear dark blue plate and helmets. The Husker Tours of this Mawtribe have a mastery the channeling the Everwinter into not just the enemy, but also their own mounts, making them go even faster and causing the charges to be even more devastating. Typically, the Thunderbellies see only the BeastClaw Raiders worthy of taking part in the cavalry charge. However, they do field a lot of Iron Blasters and Lead Belchers from the Warcluts, using them as many as they can due to their love of the explosive volleys. The sky roads of Kamon have winding lakes of molten silver. Most believe these were left behind by the dwarven god Grungni, but not the Thunderbelly. They believe it is the guts of Gorkamorka as he rampages across the realms, hoping to get caught up to him so that they can be by his side as his chosen. Being surrounded by thunderstorms and lightning strikes, these ogres speak in bellowing voices and always try to be as loud as possible. They also have a heightened appetite for destruction, taking extra delight in the city and fortress's destruction. Due to their rivalry with the Dragon Ogres of Kamon, the Thunderbelly have grown a habit of trying to catch lightning with their mouths. This will leave the ogre charred from the inside out. However, these ogres see this as weeding out the weak, for clearly they did not deserve to carry the Thunderbelly name if they can't, catch lightning with their mouth. Since the Age of Sigmar has begun, the arrival of the Stormcast Eternals, the Thunderbelly have been obsessed with trying to eat them, calling them lightning meat. The Huskard and Butchers of the Ulwer claim to know an ability to trap their celestial essence within the blue-black clouds, where then they stuff it into a maul pot. These rumors have hold some weight to them, as reports of Stormcast going missing make the claims quite troubling. With the Thunderbellies covered of Kamon done, we are going to move on to the final of the BeastClaw Raider Mawtribes, which are known as the Winterbite of Gur. As icy fog descends, figures can be seen in the fog. It is only when the enemy is enveloped in this fog will the Winterbite Mawtribe strike. Hailing from the icy plains of Gur, and being one of the more isolated of the Mawtribes, living very closely to the Everwinter, dangerously so, allowing Huskards of this BeastClaw Raider tribe to channel its icy gale. As they descend upon their foes, their prey's vision is clouded due to the fog, hunger in their eyes as the ogres unleash their hunting beasts and throw javelins soon after they strike, and the sound of battle and screams stop. All one can hear is the sound of the wind and bones snapping. These habits unnerve other ogres, especially the Winterbite's tendency to eat meat frozen rather than cooked. The appearance of the ogres tends to be pale skin and an ice-encrusted beards, this ice never melting regardless of the environment. Icebrow hunters tend to wear stacked Mournfang fur, just to blend within the frozen fog even better. Though this tactic can't conceal a Stonehorn, the enemy tends to be doomed before they even unleash the heavy cavalry. In the language of the BeastClaw Raiders, they are known as the Freya, or Unseen Predators, which is a well-earned title. Ogres are not known for patience. Among the Winterbite, it is not so much. Relying on the cover of the fog made by the fact that they live so close to the Everwinter, relying on ambushes and hit-and-run tactics. Though they are one of the smaller Mawtribes, these tactics and use of their primary weapon, fear, makes them quite a threat to fight against. Such as how they use the savage Yetis the following due to their primal relation to the frozen storm. The Yetis will often run forward, grab some unfortunate souls, and run back to the impenetrable white, leaving the survivors with nothing but screams and the knowledge that they are next. As panic descends, the ogres of the Freya will shoot their crossbows and cannons in the opening assault, as the enemy scatters and the Mawtribe release their hunting beasts. To give praise to the breath of Gorkamorka, or the Winterbite's name for the Everwinter, they leave part of their bounty and captives, some still alive, staked out in the path of the Everwinter, to be slowly engulfed and claimed by the frozen storm. And that covers the BeastClaw Raiders and their Mawtribes for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you made it to the end, leave a comment on your thoughts on my lore coverage, and leave a like if you wanted to help support the channel, and subscribe if you'd like to be notified of future content that I may release. And please check out my Instagram if you want to see my model work that I'm trying to get a commission base going. And I hope you enjoyed the video, but we've reached the end. And on that note, I hope you have a lovely day and happy wargaming.